Hey, Sean.
Hey.
Quick updates, if possible, on Justin Hollins, and then any sort of progress that Darrell Henderson has made, and then anyone else added to the list.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Justin Hollins, he's going to have surgery on his pec. He partially tore that pec. It's a big loss for us. So we'll put him on IR, designated to return. I'll have more information on what that timetable looks like once he gets that surgery, but he's going to get surgery tomorrow to repair that pec. Guys are going to be asked to step up. It's good that it kind of coincides with getting Obo potentially back as well, with his 3 weeks being up, and both he and Tremaine Ankrum will probably start that clock on him, and how soon they end up returning will be kind of something that we'll monitor as the week progresses. But he's going to be out for a little bit. Darrell's making good progress, Jordan. I am hopeful that we'll be able to have him for this week, but I'll have a little bit more information as the week progresses with that. And then they're just typical bumps and bruises. Everybody else came out fairly clean, other than, good physical game like you guys saw yesterday.
And then, Sean, last week when I asked you about Cooper Kupp, you mentioned that he sometimes can feel like an extension of the coaching staff, just in the way he collaborates and everything. What is he like? Do you guys just assign to him kind of what sort of the movements are going to be for him on the play? I know he has a lot of choice stuff. So does he come to you and say, hey, I saw this, I'd like to try this my way? A couple of things that kind of stand out in that regard about the way that he gets open.
Yeah, I mean, he's got such a great feel, Jordan. He's so creative, and he's got such a great thought process. So you definitely give ownership to your players that have earned that right, and certainly Cooper is one of those guys. I think you're probably alluding to the route that he had in the red area. That was definitely something that, that was a player thing that those guys kind of came up with, and can't take credit. He certainly, when you draw something like that up, I don't think you ever really imagine that working out quite the way that it is. And then when he put his own spin on how he's going to run it, you say, that's some pretty good stuff right there. And so he and Matthew did an excellent job. And, that was a fun one, but that was all Cooper right there and Matthew.
What's your reaction to that? I mean, I'm sure that's not the first time that's happened to you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch, just like I was telling you guys yesterday, it's just so fun to see these guys. You always have kind of ideas and some thoughts, but when they make it come to life, that's what's the most fun about it. And then seeing it, be successful in games that count in those real situations. We've been teaching that route off of practice clips for the last year or so, and it's nice to now have that on the real teaching clips for the inventory.
Thanks, Sean.
You're welcome.
Claudia.
Hey, Sean, as far as last night's game, in the fourth quarter, you had Robert Woods line up as like running back and then run the ball up the middle for good yards. How much does that versatility add to your offense?
A lot. I think he's as versatile a receiver as there is, Claudia. The amount of stuff that Robert does, making big plays in the pass game, being able to create after the catch, being able to take, jet sweeps, handoffs, being able to actually get into the backfield. He took a handoff against the Bears as well. And he's just a great football player. He's tough competing without the ball. He's excellent competing with the ball. Those are just, that adds to a lot of versatility that we can present because he's such a versatile and complete football player. And big reason why, just the way he competes and all the things that he does that are so valuable for our team, why he's got a C on his chest.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nick.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned yesterday just having that conversation with Deshaun Jackson because weeks prior, you wanted to get him more involved and more engaged in the offense. How much did it help with you being where you are in your coaching career and him, the maturation that he's shown and where he is in his career, to be able to provide a healthy dialogue that produces positive results?
Yeah, I thought it was a real credit to Deshaun, Nick. Obviously the first couple weeks didn't go the way that I think either of us had planned. And there's nobody that was responsible other than myself. Got to take accountability. And then Deshaun, I thought handled it, was great with the conversation. He handled the week of preparation excellent, held up his end of the bargain and then delivered in a big way. And so I think our relationship in general was really helpful for us to be able to sit down, have an honest conversation, and then you can move forward and you give yourself the chance to move forward the right way. And it's exactly what he did yesterday. And I think, he's going to continue to be a big part of what we do for the rest of the season. And I was really happy for Deshaun, and he definitely delivered in a big way. And can't believe that guy can still run like that. Can you?
Oh yeah, speed is speed.
That's right.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it, Nick.
Kevin.
Hi, Sean. I wondered where Terrell Lewis fits in the plans for outside linebacker going forward. And was yesterday the most impact you've seen him have?
It was, Kevin. He played, close to, over 30 snaps, which was by far his biggest workload. Thought he handled it well. He came in, he was feeling good. And so seeing his maturation and him continue to progress, Kevin, is a big deal, because Justin Hollins had done such a great job really solidifying that spot opposite Leonard Floyd over these first few weeks. But to see Terrell be able to, do what he did was really encouraging. And you can't have enough good players that can apply pressure to the quarterback and be able to set edges and make the plays that he did. So he's definitely going to be a big factor. And, you can look for him to play a lot more snaps moving forward.
And then Tom Brady was talking after the game about the disruptive factor of the crowd noise. Beyond saying it was loud, and he said it was one of the loudest stadiums he's been in. Beyond saying it's loud, is there a way for you to describe how it sounds down there? Can you compare it to any other stadiums, any other domes or anything, or does it sound different in some?
I'll tell you what, it's hard to say, because every stadium's kind of different, but loud is an appropriate way to describe it. It was loudish, down there, and the fans were outstanding. What was really fun too is I've talked to Mr. Kroenke for the last few years as he's had this vision for this project unfolding, and obviously with COVID and everything, not having fans in the stands, but he had talked about wanting to make sure that we had a real home field advantage. And the Bears game, and then yesterday in particular, it really came to light. I mean, I thought the fans were incredible. The best way I can describe that atmosphere is electric. It was electric. There was a lot of really cool, moments for people to get excited that our players brought to life. But, just the totality of the stadium, I would be out of my lane describing the acoustics and some of the things that make it loud. But I know that it was set up in a manner that was designed to really have that noise be a factor and try to, be a detriment to the offense's ability to operate for the visiting team. And I think that definitely played a hand in a couple of the pre-snap procedural penalties and some of the things that they weren't able to do in a lot of those situations where the fans were geeked up and did a great job. And you could see our players really thrived off of it. And it was definitely an edge for us, and we loved it.
I take it you liked it better than the fake crowd noise last year.
A lot better. Yes. It's very safe to say.
Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Gary. You're on mute, Gary.
Damn mute button got you again, Gary.
Mid-season form. Hey, so is Terrell Lewis then on track to start that game against the Cardinals?
You know what? We'll talk about it, Gary. I think, we'll see. I think it's important to really be able to have a good rotation, and we'll see how Obo handles this week of preparation. But I think you do want to have, somewhat of a rotation. But, Terrell is a guy that's in consideration to, whether you get the first snap or not, that's kind of not as important as, all right, what's your role based on the different personnel packages and the situations that we want to see you execute your job within the framework of what Raheem's calling. And so I think you'll look to see him play snaps probably in alignment with what he did yesterday. Whether he ends up taking that first snap or not, we'll get a feel for as the week progresses and as we put the plan together.
And we saw, Deshaun emerge yesterday. Tyler Higbee also had a couple prominent plays. How has he evolved, especially with, the departure of Gerald Everett? How, if at all, has that changed what he's doing?
I don't think it's changed too much. I think we got a really good glimpse of the capability and the upside to Tyler Higbee in that stretch of games in 2019 when Gerald was out. And so I think he's a complete tight end. I think he competes really well in all three phases. He's a glue guy on this team. Everybody loves Tyler Higbee. I'm sure when you guys talk to him, he's just one of those guys that he's just got a great feel for people. He's a great competitor. He has a great game day swag. His ability to compete in the run game, his ability to compete in protection. And then he made some outstanding plays that were really timely in the pass game. He's so hard on himself. He'll be worried about and bothered by the one fumble. It was a good job by that guy getting his helmet right on the ball, and Witt did a great job recovering it. But the touchdown, the third down conversion that ended up leading to a touchdown drive on a 3rd down and 4 or 5, I want to say, he's a stud. I love Tyler Higbee, and doesn't really change, but when he's involved, good things happen for our offense.
And then finally for me, why do you think that you guys have been so dominant against the Cardinals in your stint with the Rams so far?
You know what? I think it's our players have played well. This is a really good team. They're obviously playing really well this year, and they've got a lot of playmakers in all three phases. They've got great schemes, and so I don't know that there's really an answer other than when we've played them, our guys have found a way to deliver in that 3-hour window and do an excellent job coming away with the wins. But we all know this, and you guys know how I feel. You know, what's happened in previous years has zero to do with what we're going to try to do on Sunday. You know, those things, have no merit. It doesn't do anything for us. We've just got to make sure that we prepare the right way moving forward and try to do everything we can to put another good performance together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stu.
Don, I know I asked you about Brian Allen a couple weeks ago, but maybe in a different way. What's different about him starting at center this time around compared to when he was first gaining that experience a couple years ago? What are some noticeable differences you're seeing in his level of play?
Well, I think he's so conscientious that he's using those previous experiences to draw on it and give him confidence moving forward. I think because of the way that he's really worked at his game, you can't help but get better. You're talking about a guy that's so committed to the process. He loves football. He's always talking about it. He takes great pride in the ownership that's required based on how we operate with the center. And he and Matthew have a really special rapport. I think those two being able to work in concert with the communication, all the different things that we do, the changes of tempo, the different things that we're seeing structurally on the defensive side of the ball, and all the answers that you want to make sure that you're on the screws with. He's been really good. And then I think physically he's stronger than he's been. I mean, you can see he's really worked hard. He's just sturdy. He's playing with the fundamentals and the techniques. He's really buying into the things that Coach Carberry and Nick Jones and Zach Cromer are coaching. But the experience, the way he works about it physically and above the neck, and all those things are leading to him playing really good football and doing an excellent job with the command that he has through the first 3 weeks. Been very pleased with Brian. But I'm not surprised because of the way that he played throughout the course of training camp and the way he competed and the way that he just stayed the course and how resilient he was. And it's really, it's been awesome to see what Brian's done so far. And I think he's only going to get better.
Thanks.
Lindsay.
Hey, Sean, just wondering, when you reviewed the film from yesterday, when you see Matthew Stafford, what just is continuing to impress you about him?
Feel for the game, ability as he accumulates snaps throughout the course of the game to get a feel for things, how unflappable he was, where, the standards that he has for himself, the 1 3rd down, the Deshaun down the middle of the field. I know he was really bothered at that one, but he just can't wait for the next opportunity to compete. But I just think it's the consistency throughout the game. And then the amount of stuff that he sees, recognizes, and is able to make plays as a result of that understanding for what's going on the other side. I mean, there's just so many different things that you've seen through these first 3 weeks, but his ability to get us in and out of the right stuff. I mean, there was a lot of instances where, we're at the line and he's kind of just taking control and being able to, trust what he sees and run some plays that got us into some premier looks. And he did a great job with that. And that's really what I've seen is just the total command ownership. And when things don't go perfect, how steady he remains and it doesn't affect his ability to move forward.
And I know it's still very early in the week, bless you,
Thank you.
your prep for the Cardinals, but have you been able to see them play much this season? And can you kind of speak to maybe what's causing their turnaround, or not turnaround, but their steady success, I should say?
Yeah, I haven't, I've just kind of seen bits and pieces here. As soon as we get off this call and when I finish up a couple other things, that's when I really dive into the early parts of the preparation for the Cardinals. But I mean, obviously you see, what Chandler did week 1 and the influence and the effect. They've always been a really physical defense. Buda Baker's one of the better players in this league. I think they're really playing as one is what I would imagine when I really flip the tape on. And then Kyler Murray's just making play after play. You're seeing guys like Hopkins and AJ Green get involved. I've always thought Christian Kirk was a big time player and he's made a bunch of plays through these first few weeks, but they're really tough on teams. They've got good guys that can run and hit and play in space. And so, and they're well coached. And so that's a good recipe for being 3-0. And that's what I would imagine when I see when I'll really dive deep into the film, but everything that I'm kind of saying has really just been watching from afar and seeing some highlights and stuff like that.
last one. Monday Night Football, if you watch, are you a traditional broadcast guy or a Manning cast guy?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? I think I'm going to have to flip on the Manning cast a couple times. I've gotten to, have a good friendship with Peyton, and those guys they're fun to listen to. I think if you tune in, Stafford's going to make a guest appearance tonight.
I'll be watching. Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
Wrap up with you, Jordan.
Hey, Sean, excuse me.
You're good.
Matthew's numbers on third down are like kind of nuts.
They are
and
kind of
then
nuts.
particularly on third and 8+ yards to gain. And I'm wondering, first and foremost, how has that design changed, and how has he kind of opened up some of the things you guys decide to call on third down, and then on some of those longer downs, does it help you? You don't have to maybe reset the call sheet, like you think you can trust him to just keep moving the ball down the field?
Yeah, he's been outstanding. He's kind of nuts is a good way of saying it. But I think, that's been a representation of obviously him, but I think the other 10 guys. I mean, you look at some of those plays that we've been able to hit, what great strain, effort, sustain, and finish up front that our guys, our linemen have done. Backs have done a good job sticking their face on people when they're asked to be utilized in protection. And I think the fact that we're able to distribute the field, we talk about making the defense defend every blade of grass, Jordan, but, we're getting the time, he's seeing the field, and we're able to get, 4 and then sometimes 5 of our eligibles out with our back and distribute the field in a manner that's reflective of, hey, he's going to be able to recognize the coverage. He knows where his answers are built in within the framework of the concept. And he's so decisive, and kind of similar to what I was saying, to Lindsey, is just his decisiveness and understanding of what the defense is doing and where the ball or where the play is designed, what the intent of these concepts are. He makes it really come to life. And so that's been huge and a big part of, why we've had success, particularly in those third and longer situations like you talked about.
Yeah, and I guess it's maybe an oversimplified question, but when you have a third and long and you convert like that, what does it then do for you on the following first down structurally?
Well, it just gives you a lot of, anytime that you get a gain first down, especially when you're talking about those types of conversions that are usually a result of an explosive play, because you got to have certain yardage to convert, just gives you the ability to keep people off balance, whether you want to go on the ball and run tempo, whether you want to be able to huddle up, change a personnel grouping. And really more than anything, it gives you a fresh set of downs where you can continue to accumulate and gain inventory to try to just have stuff play off of one another. And that's kind of, part of our overall philosophy. But you got to get plays to be able to get into the feel and the flow of a game and a rhythm. I'm certainly not complaining about some of the big plays we've hit, but it just gives you more opportunities to try to activate things based on, whatever the intent is or what we feel like is the best way to attack the defense, whether that's running it or throwing it, and the different types of offenses and phases of our offense that can come to life after that gain first down.
Thanks.
You're welcome.